and number 15 ranked UFC women's bantamweight Sijara Eubanks. Our first question goes to Gabriel Gonzalez with Cage Side Press.
Hey, so we know that Claudia recently got injured, unfortunately, but were you two still living and training together ahead of this fight?
I just grew up and got my own place just not too long ago. But we were roommates basically through the whole quarantine. But we're still training together every day. I think she's in Vegas right now, but when she was in Jersey up until not too long ago, we were training together every day. Yeah.
You'd been prepping for Macy. Now, obviously, you're fighting Carol. How do you adjust your training for a new opponent in the short amount of time?
I'm always training to better myself. I'm always training to sharpen my own tools. So that's what we're looking for. When you get an opponent change, it's kind of just a little bit of a game plan change. Obviously her body type's a lot different. Carol's a lot shorter, so we don't have to worry about the height as much. But she brings her own set of tools, so we just gotta adjust our game plan a little bit and make sure that I'm still doing what I'm supposed to do and staying sharp with my game plan. So I'm always, my game plan is always my style, so I kind of don't have to change much per opponent. Just kind of making sure we're looking out for the certain things that we think my opponent's going to bring to the cage.
This is going to be your second fight week of the pandemic. Have you brought anything with you? Are you doing anything differently now that you have that experience to make this time around smoother for yourself?
No, it was pretty smooth the first time. UFC's been real good about making this whole transition really smooth. They take real good care of us. The best thing about I have to bring, it's less I have to bring. They're providing food. They're providing all of our weight cut stuff. I don't really have to bring much except my mouthpiece, so I'm ready to go. UFC's been real smooth about the whole process, so not much has changed. Just different location. I was in Jacksonville last time, so we in Vegas, one of my favorite towns. So that's about it. It's the only difference.
Final question, when you're traveling, to train and everything, how much are you able to talk with like the UFC PI? Do you use them a lot, with your weight cut and everything, or do you tend to operate mostly out of Jersey for just everything in general?
And I use the PI a lot. I've been using the PI since the Ultimate Fighter. I've always kept in real close contact with the PI, Clint, and all the great guys over there, Bo, Duncan. They got a solid team over there for us. So I'm always in really close contact with the PI. I mean, personally, I kind of don't see why everybody doesn't. It's free to us as fighters. It's a great facility. You get free food. They help you with your weight cut. They got meals prepared when you hit the ground. I feel like they should like I'm a promo for them, but they're real good. They're real good to us. And I've always used the PI, and I'll continue to do so. They've been real good.
When you say in contact, obviously, you're not training in Vegas. You're with the team in, on the East Coast. How are they able to help you? Like, do they send you the meals? Is there like a meal prep kind of deal? Is it just a lot of emails and phone calls? How does it work when you're not going to Vegas to be in the facility all the time?
Emails, phone calls, texts, and what I like to do is like as often as I can. I haven't been able to do much with the pandemic, but I like to go out to the PI physically at least like twice a year. And they can run all their tests. They have a lot of diagnostic tests. They have a lot of fitness tests. They have a lot of exams to figure out where you are physically, what your weight is like, what your body type is like. So I like to go out there a couple of times a year just to make sure they have all their data, their baseline data for me. And then once I'm home, it's just a matter of really between camps at bantamweight, there's not much more I have to do because the cut to bantamweight is so easy. But once we get closer to the fight, we text and call a lot more. And Clint's a guy I can call, text, or email like basically whenever I have any questions about anything. So once they have their baseline information, it's just kind of like, look, this how many carbs, proteins, and fats you should eat, and if I need the food, usually I get it. So and they usually send out trifecta. I know with COVID, the trifecta is a little bit different, but before COVID, trifecta sends you a box of food every week, no problem. So it's easy and also saves me grocery money. You know what I'm saying? So if I can get the food, I'll take it.
I hear you. Hey, thanks, Sarge.
Thank you.
Right. So you can still keep looking at the camera for this. So obviously coming off a win, how nice was it to just get the monkey off your back, get it back in the winner's circle, and like how are you approaching this fight and that moment?
It was great to get that W. I felt like my winning streak is a little longer than people think because I think the fights on Ultimate Fighter count. But it was nice. I think the two fights I had, especially with Aspen, were really close. So to me, they didn't feel like super hard losses or anything. But you always want to get that W after the end of the fight. So I would like to keep my momentum. That's why I want to turn around as fast as I did. As soon as I was done with Sarah Morris, I was like, line me up another one because historically, like the last 2 years, I was fighting every 6 months, and I think that having a more frequent appearance is gonna help me with this momentum. So I'm looking forward to carrying over the momentum with Sarah Morris and my team right into this Saturday. So I'm looking forward to it.
Other than kind of upping the activity level like you want to, is there any sort of, I don't know if statement sounds too dramatic, but kind of a performance you would like to have to kind of show that your growth over time in the UFC?
Finish one of these damn fights. Like, I feel like I've gone decision after decision, and it's funny. My coach was teasing me after the last bout with Morris. I was like, man, y'all talk about my cardio. I go 3 rounds every time. My coach was like, that ain't don't brag about that. So I'm always looking for a finish, and I'm gonna be looking for another one on Saturday. So I really think that would be the feather on my growth cap is to finally start getting some finish because I'm landing shots, man. I'm hitting these girls upside their head. So I'm just keep punching them and pray that this Saturday takes a fall or we get to the ground, get a finish, get my jujitsu showing again. I haven't really displayed my jujitsu as much my last couple of fights. Ground and pound comes out, but hopefully we'll get a chance to display either some knockout power or some submission finishes this weekend.
And it seems like, obviously with more experience, you become more comfortable. But given your experience on the Ultimate Fighter, and now that you have more than a few UFC fights under your belt, what's something that's been maybe surprising or something that you've learned about being a UFC fighter that you couldn't have learned no matter how many questions you asked beforehand, that you just had to go through the fights, the ups and downs of it?
You just the only thing you can't learn is just cage time. Just cage time. It takes a certain kind of fighter to fight through adversity. You saw that, like, I think 1 or 2 fight cards ago. You see guys close to being finished and they fight their way through. A couple of girls close to being finished, fighting their way through. That kind of thing just comes with experience. It comes with fighting. You can have that kind of experience maybe on a regional show or a small show where you have a tough fight. But when you see that UFC canvas and you got the lights and you got your fight week and you go through a kind of adversity that you have to fight through in a fight, that just comes with experience. It's just nothing else like it than to get out there and do it. It's just, you can't practice being in the UFC cage. And so as much as I would like to get a finish, I do appreciate those 15 minutes because it's just a chance for me to stay in it. It's challenging mentally to stay in a fight through 15 whole minutes. I mean, because even if you're winning the fight, you coming into the third, like my last fight, just because it's most recent in my memory, like I felt like I was up 2 rounds, but you can't come off the gas. And so that kind of thing just sort of helps being in the UFC. It's a different level of intensity fighting in the UFC and getting that kind of experience actually in the cage.
Is that last fight the one that kind of stands out the most as far as learning that, or is there another fight, another time where you kind of felt like, oh man, that's what it meant to kind of lock in for those 15 minutes?
Aspen Ladd and Betch Cadet. Aspen Ladd almost strangled my ass in the second round. I was like, yeah. And then come back like, in the past is the past. I would probably score that a little differently. But when I came back in the third, I knew I was down because around like that, you're not getting. And just to be able to bite down on your mouthpiece and stick to the game plan and stay focused, you got to have short-term memory in that cage. Them 60 seconds they give you go like that. And that's your time to sort of let the last round go and get ready for the next one. And moment to moment in the fight, the tide of a fight can change in the middle of the fight, in the middle of the round. And same thing with Betch Cadet. I think she hit me with a shot. I had to blink it out. I felt like I finished that fight strong as well. And same thing when you're on top, when you're winning. Like Sarah Morris, I'm ground and pounding, ready to finish her in the second round. Fucking didn't die. Like, so now I got to come out in the third and keep laying the heat. So yeah, it just almost every one of my fights. The longer the fight goes, the more you got to stay in it.
Awesome. That's all I had. Anything else?
There's another one.
Huh?
So you're done.
I'm done.
Our next set of questions will come from Jim Barcelone with the Miami Herald.
Hey, I'm wondering, just what are your thoughts of women and UFC, women in combat sports? We've seen, I think, such a revolution and an elevation of more women getting involved in combat sports, professional wrestling as well. I know that's a different entity, but still it's physical. What are your thoughts of getting involved and just seeing more women do that and the progression of it and how good that is?
Girl power, baby. Real hot girl shit. Like because I'm probably a, like, you know, feminist kind of has a negative connotation to it, but I'm a feminist at heart. I'm always cheering for girls. Like I've been watching more the WNBA this summer than the NBA finals. Like I'm all for girl power and girl sports. I think that's the best thing for girls and women to do is to get out there and try sports. Get out there and do those things that traditionally have not been women's roles. And I hate to brag, but I think the talent gap in women's MMA has shortened a lot quicker than the guys. I mean, guys have been fighting in the UFC forever since UFC won like 1,000 years ago. But women, we just broke through what a couple of years ago, Ronda Rousey, and already you can see the generational sort of talent gap, the well-roundedness close in women's MMA so much quicker. I just think our game is evolving a lot quicker than the guys did. Girls are just so good. When I first started, girls had like one base. You either had like a grappler or you had like a striker, and that was your thing. Now you see girls been wrestling since they were kids. You see girls that can wrestle and strike and do jujitsu. You see girls that are just smart as far as their game plan and their intellectual abilities in the cage. So I think the women's game is growing at an exponential rate, and I'm super pumped to be part of the ride, man.
And lastly, for me, what do you enjoy most about what you're doing now?
Just fighting is the only thing in my life I ever love to do. Training when I'm in the gym, when I'm training, is complete peace. Is the happiest place in the world is for me to be somewhere working out at the gym doing what I love. You guys, all my teammates, they tease me because I'm spar heavy. Like I just love to spar. I love to get out there and throw punches, feel punches, practice everything that I've been working on, and then just being able to get out there in a fight. This is an accumulation of all the hard work, not just of this camp, but of my whole entire life. You know, I was 22 years old. I was a fat kid. I'd never done any kind of sports in my life. Just the fact that I'm out here fighting like professionally, it's just to me, I assume this is what adrenaline junkies go through when they jump out of planes, because this is the only thing that I think would be close to it. It's the every fight, you know. I also tease my mom and my grandma. They're like, okay, how many? I'm like, I'm gonna keep going until I don't feel that pump, till I don't feel that you know, when you feel your stomach drop, that's when you know you're doing something right, and that's the feeling I look for every time.
Hey, inspiring. Keep on doing what you're doing.
Appreciate you.
That's all we have for you today, Sijara. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you guys.